Hey friends, welcome back to Supporting Physician Spouses. I'm Kendra, and this is week 2 of the Predictability Problem Series, tools to help you feel more grounded in a life that rarely goes as planned. Last week, Katie and I explored how to design those pockets of time that belong to you, these small, repeatable rhythms that restore a sense of control. We talked about Walk Wednesdays or Friday pancakes, lighting candles at dinner, those tiny zones of choices that rebuild your agency. And I hope you tried implementing at least one of them this past week. And maybe you're already feeling the difference. Or maybe you've created that pocket, protected it, and then Thursday came and the text arrived, got pulled into a case, won't make it for dinner. And just like that, your shoulders tensed up, your jaw tightened, and you thought, here we go again. Even when you build those pockets, sometimes the stress still hits. The schedule changes, the plan falls apart, and we brace. We tense. We hold our breath and we think, okay, I just need to survive this next stretch. But here's the thing that I've learned the hard way. Bracing keeps your nervous system stuck in defense mode. It's like holding your breath underwater. You can only do it for so long before something has to give. And today I'm going to walk you through a research-backed way to shift from bracing to anchoring, from waiting for calm to actually creating it, even when everything around you feels uncertain. To get started, let me first paint you a picture. You're looking forward to a date night. It's been months already since you've had one. You've arranged childcare, you've been thinking about it all week, and then at 4:30 p.m., your phone buzzes, alerting you that you've got a text, and what does it say? So sorry, got called in. Can we reschedule? I want you to go to that moment. What happens in your body as you read that text? For most of us, there's this immediate cascade, like your stomach drops, your shoulders rise towards your ears. Maybe you feel heat in your chest or your throat gets tight. Your mind starts racing with thoughts like, of course this happened. This always happens. Why do I even bother planning anything? Now, this isn't just you being dramatic. This is your brain doing exactly what it's designed to do. When unpredictability hits, that text, that canceled plan, the last minute schedule change, your brain interprets that disruption as a threat. And suddenly your body activates its stress response. You start scanning for the next disappointment, trying to preempt it. Your nervous system goes into what you might consider like high alert mode. It's protective. This is your brain trying to keep you safe, but it's also incredibly exhausting. Here's where the research gets really interesting. Cognitive behavior therapy gives us language for what is happening. It tells us that what keeps us stuck isn't actually the event itself, it's our interpretation of the event. So let me maybe put it the way that the researchers actually put it. There's a study by Schmidt, Tenti, and Levine, this is from 2010, that says that the quality and intensity of the emotion we feel doesn't depend on the situation itself. It depends on our subjective evaluation of that situation. So I want you to think about that for a second and consider that two people can experience the exact same disruption in their life and their bodies respond completely differently based on the story that they attach to it. Another researcher, K.R. Schreier, explains it like this, that appraisal involves people's subjective perception of events rather than their objective characteristics. So when we tell ourselves, here we go again, I can never count on anything, this life is impossible to plan around, our brain hears danger, 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 and our body reacts accordingly. Heart races, cortisol spikes, we're in fight or flight mode, all over a canceled dinner. Now, this is where I want to be really clear because the goal is not to pretend that it's not frustrating. It is. So the goal isn't toxic positivity or just looking on the bright side. The goal is to Anchor yourself in what's still true and stable, even when the plan changes, even in the midst of a storm. Again, here is what I've learned. There's a huge difference between acknowledging something is hard and disappointing and spiraling into nothing ever works out. One statement grounds you in reality. The other sends you into a story that may or may not be true, but your body is going to respond to it as if it is true. So let's get to the framework. This is a tool that has genuinely changed how I move through these moments, and it is adapted from CBD principles and resilience training, and it's called the Anchor Framework. It's 6 steps, 1 breath each, simple enough to remember when you're in the middle of it, and it's got a really catchy acronym. It's called the Anchor Framework, and we're going to go through each of the steps in the Anchor Framework. And the first is A, acknowledge what's real. This is where we will always start, not with trying to fix it, not with trying to find a silver lining, just with naming the thing that's hard. It might sound like, I'm disappointed this changed again, or I'm frustrated that I can't count on this, or I feel alone right now. That's it. Just name it. And here's why this matters. Naming the emotion actually calms the amygdala. That's the part of our brain that's responsible for the fight or flight response. And research shows that when we label what we're feeling, it literally stops the emotional spin. It's called affect labeling, and it's one of the simplest, most powerful tools we have. So step 1, acknowledge what's real. Don't skip this step. Step 2 is N. Notice your narrative. Once you've named the feeling, the next question is, what story am I telling myself right here? Is it, we'll never have a normal family time? Or is it, he doesn't care about my plans? Or this will never get better? Again, we're not judging the story, we're just noticing it, because often we don't even realize we're telling ourselves these stories. They're running on autopilot in the background, but once you notice them, you can begin to work with them. Step 3 in our anchor framework is C, challenge it with choice. And this is really where the shift happens. We ask, is there another possible story here? And notice I didn't say a more positive story. I said possible story. Maybe it's, this season is unpredictable, but I can still choose small moments of connection. Or this is disappointing and I can adapt. Or even, this isn't personal. This is the reality of the job right now. This cognitive reappraisal involves changing the way we're thinking about a situation in order to change how we feel about it. And shifting the story shifts the emotion with it, not because we're pretending it's fine. Please don't do that. But because we're choosing a story that's both true and empowering. Step 4, H, hold a grounding cue. This is where we're going to bring it all back into the body. You're going to take a deep breath, a real one. So deep into your belly. You can do it with me. Now touch something solid, the counter, the table, your own hand on your chest. Or you might name 5 things that you can see right now. This orange highlighter, my phone, a stapler, my red pen, my calendar. Grounding techniques work. They found that grounding directly stabilizes your autonomic nervous system by boosting your vagal tone. It's what regulates your racing heart. It deepens your breathing. Grounding brings you back into the present moment, which is where your power actually is. All right, step 5, O. Orient towards what's stable. And this is my favorite step because even when everything feels chaotic, there are things that haven't changed. Your values haven't changed. Your love hasn't changed. The rituals you created last week, still yours. So ask yourself, what's still stable here now? And maybe it's, I can still light the candle at dinner, even if it's just me and the kids. And I really suggest lighting candles. Or we still have Saturday morning together, or I still have agency over how I respond to this. Orienting towards stability doesn't mean the disruption didn't happen. Again, we're not pretending. It means that you're choosing to stand on solid ground instead of spinning. All right, we're at our last one for anchor. This is step 6, and it's R. Re-engage with intention. So finally, to close it out, do one tiny action that affirms your agency. Light the candle at dinner. Text a friend who gets it. Take a walk like you planned, solo. Put on music that makes you feel alive. It's not about making it perfect. It's about saying, I'm still here. I still have a choice, and I can still create meaning in this moment. Quick pause. Hey, it's Kendra. We'll get right back to the episode, but a quick thank you to the partner that supports this show. It Gets Better Now, my one-on-one coaching practice for physician spouses. Maybe you're thinking, training is over. Why doesn't it feel better yet? That is my specialty, turning survival systems into sustainable ones. Time you can count on, calmer conflict, and a clearer sense of you outside of medicine. If you'd like support that understands this life, visit itgetsbetternow.com. So that's the anchor framework. They are 1, acknowledge what's real. 2, notice your narrative. 3, challenge it with choice. 4, hold a grounding cue. 5, orient towards what's stable. And 6, re-engage with intention. And all of those spell anchor. Anchoring doesn't make it easy, but it makes it survivable with your identity and your peace intact. So I'm going to share a story that came from a client long ago. But I got a message after we were working with each other for a while, and she said, I used to spile every time that my husband got called in. I'd be angry for hours. I'd snap at the kids. I'd feel this pit in my stomach that would last until he got home. But now when I get that text, I'd literally say out loud, okay, this is hard, but we still light the candle. It is such a small act, but it shifts everything. The kids know what it means. I know what it means. And it's like our little signal that we're okay even when plans change. And again, I love this so much because it's so simple. And I use the concept of lighting a candle in lots of different ways because it is almost like a sign and a symbol. It's an action that you're taking, and you can apply the representation for whatever it is. For some people, lighting the candle would represent self-care. For other people, it's going to be that grounding ritual that anchors them in this moment. Like, this is part of our routine. This is part of what we do. And we always do it, no matter who is here or when plans change. It's who we are. And again, this process is more than meets the eye. This is retraining your nervous system. Because here's the thing, your brain learns safety through repetition. And each time that you choose to anchor yourself instead of brace, you're teaching your body that we can handle this, we've been here before, and we know what to do. That's true resilience, not white knuckling your way through the waves, but staying steady while they move all around you. I'm going to give you another example. This one is hypothetical though. I was trying to think of one that I have from my past when my husband was in residency, and I couldn't land on one that I thought would work, but we're going to go with this hypothetical because it incorporates a concept that we talked about in a previous episode on connection, and it also incorporates something that we are all familiar with. So hopefully I did a good job putting it all together. So I want you to imagine, again, something like this has probably happened. Tough rotation. Schedule is all over the place. It's a mess. Unpredictable call. Late nights, constantly changing. And perhaps you find yourself in a pattern that every day when he walks in the door, you immediately feel like unloading all of the hard things from your day, all of the things that went wrong, all of the things that the kids were doing that were frustrating, all of the ways that maybe you weren't able to get to the projects that you wanted to get to. And again, I want you to maybe, if you haven't been in that situation, try to put yourself in that situation and notice how miserable that feels. It feels miserable for you. It also feels miserable for him. Because on his perspective, he's probably exhausted and feels like he's walking into more stress. And then you're resentful because you don't necessarily feel heard. So I'm going back to the episode I think that Katie did on connection. And think about how this moment could be different if you had created a ritual that says when he walks in the door, before you say anything else, you just give him a 6-second hug. And I think we actually used a 6-second kiss. So we'll let this be, choose your own adventure, either or. But that's it, just 6 seconds of being present together and then asking, do you need to decompress first? Are you ready to talk? And again, I recognize that it almost sounds too simple, right? But these small and simple things have the opportunity to change everything because it is an anchoring ritual in connection before launching into problem-solving mode. So again, if that's something that you can relate to, think about, is there a ritual that you can add in between that transition of him coming home and then going into talking about your day that kind of bridges it and brings everybody back together in connection and anchors your nervous system so that you can discuss and exchange topics and ideas and your day in a meaningful way. Okay, research actually does back this up, by the way. So studies on self-regulation, which is essentially what that is, and it is the ability to guide your behavior under stress, shows that it ranges from attention control to higher order processes like emotion regulation and conflict resolution. So anchoring is self-regulation in motion. It's choosing your response instead of just reacting. So going back to that example of your husband walking in the door and your natural response is to unload and share all of the frustrations of the day. Anchoring in self-regulation is saying, that is not in the best interest at this moment, but first I'm going to self-regulate because I'm feeling dysregulated because I can feel all of this stuff wanting to just pour out of my mouth. That's dysregulation. So I'm going to self-regulate. I'm going to connect with my spouse. And then we're in a better place then to problem solve and to exchange how our day was a little bit differently. All right, so here's your challenge this week. And I'm going to make it really specific because I want you to actually be able to do this. The next time a plan changes, and it will, take one breath, a nice deep breath, and walk through the anchor steps. You can even write it down on a sticky note and put it somewhere where you're going to see it. The bathroom mirror, the fridge, your phone wallpaper, in the car. And let's recap again what anchor stands for. A, acknowledge what's real. What is real about this situation? N, notice your narrative. What story are you telling yourself? C, challenge it with choice. What is another possible story? H, hold on to a grounding cue. What's one way that I can ground myself? O, orient towards what's stable. What is stable even in this moment? And R, re-engage with intention. What's one tiny action I can take to re-engage now? So that's anchor. That's it. You don't have to be perfect at it. You just have to try. And I would love to hear how it goes. You can message us on Instagram at Supporting Physician Spouses or email us at hello@supportingphysicianspouses.com. Seriously, send us your stories, send us your comments. We want to hear them. And next week, Katie is going to build on everything we've talked about so far by exploring control through connection. She's really taken that topic of connection to heart. She's going to dive in to how shared rituals, even the tiniest ones, can actually increase both predictability and intimacy in your relationship. Because again, here's a small truth. You can be the calmest, most anchored version of yourself and still feel off balance if your relationship feels disconnected. So Katie's going to show us how to bring that same sense of calm and intention into how we connect with our spouse. It's going to be fantastic. All right, everybody, before I leave, I want to remind you of a couple of things that we have coming up that you can participate in, that we would love to see you and hear from you. The first is, I want to make sure that you know that you can get on our weekly email newsletter. We talk about what's coming up on the podcast, as well as some personal inside stuff with both Katie and I, and it's just a great way for us to connect. And it's also how we deliver some of the handouts and reference guides that we have that correlate with each episode. So last week we had quite a large one. This week for the anchor, we have a 3-page PDF that kind of goes through the steps and has a little worksheet for you to do with reflection questions that is lots of fun. So you can get that by going to supportingphysicianspouses.com, and you can sign up for our newsletter there. And then also we have our second office hours is happening on Tuesday, November 18th. And that's going to be at 3 o'clock Central Time. So depending on where you are in the country, make note of that. And you can sign up for those also at supportingphysicianspouses.com. And you can get that on your calendar. But office hours is basically just an hour that Katie and I open up and we show up on a video call like this. You can choose to show your video or not. You can submit your questions ahead of time, or just come prepared to talk. Katie and I will lead office hours based on the feedback that we get over the next couple of weeks as far as topics that you want to talk about or questions that you have. So we would love to see you there. Our first one was held in October. Great fun. It's always a good time getting to see everybody and getting to connect with you that way. So again, please join us for office hours. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter also. And if you're feeling really generous this month, we would love for you to review the podcast. It's been so fun to watch the podcast grow and to see where everybody is tuning in from all over the United States and even some outside of the country. So we're really excited to find ways to connect and grow this community with you. So don't be shy. Drop us an email, get on our newsletter, and then we hope to see you at office hours. So thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you showing up here every week and listening to this podcast and sharing it with your friends. We love you so much and wish you the very best. So we will see you soon. Thanks for listening. If this episode was helpful, imagine what we can do with your specific situation. It Gets Better Now is my one-on-one coaching for physician spouses and supports this podcast. You can learn more at itgetsbetternow.com.